Dr. Bronner's the only way to fly when it comes to sanitizing. Good morning. I am Sandy Scheller with the Chula Vista Heritage Museum and the Southbay Historical Society. I am so excited today because I am with the president of our organization. And I don't know what I would have done without you, Ceasar, because you are truly amazing. We're here inside of Ruth, Remember Us the Holocaust. And without further ado, I introduce to you Ceasar Castro.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Ceasar, if you don't mind, I'm going to look at notes because there's so many of them. And first of all, sincerely and honestly, congratulations that
thank
in
you.
October, December, you became the president of the Southbay Historical Society and the Chula Vista Heritage Museum. Is it a blessing or a curse?
Well, it's both. I was president of the Chula Vista Genealogy Society for the library. The meetings were here. And, you know, working with people, different people have different personalities. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's fun.
You've got some very wonderful people. Susan Orr, great as secretary.
Yes.
Mitch Beecham, who I hope to interview.
Yes.
Our outgoing Harry as president has been really wonderful. Patty Huffman, 90 years old.
Wow.
Peter Watry, she's going to be in August. Peter Watry, plethora of information, and Steve Schoenherr, who's been truly, truly a blessing when it has come to documenting and doing things. So, let me ask you something. Did you have fun on January 12th?
On January 12th.
We had an opening of the exhibit.
Oh, yes. Yes. You did a fantastic job.
Remember, I always say we.
Yeah, but you were the organizer.
No, but again, it took a committee, and thank God that we had the committee and the support of Mayor Salas.
Yes.
And everybody who was on that. If it's okay, I'll mention the committee. It was Mayor Salas, Rabbi Mendy Begin, his wife Musi Begin, Adriana Hernandez, Patricia Huffman, Harry Orgavan, and myself. And I got to tell you, did we ever see the library come alive like that?
Yeah, that was really fascinating.
Yeah, if I had to put that party in one word, I'd call it the flying bagels, because I've never seen bagels go flying out. Right now, I want to focus on you.
Okay.
Caesar, where were you born?
I was born in National City, Paradise Valley Hospital.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, you're super duper late.
I'm
Southbay.
Yes, big time.
What year?
That was in 43.
Okay.
And that was the only hospital locally. That's why I was born there. You know.
Caesar, you were born in 43.
Yes.
Okay, I got to ask you something. Do you remember 1945? Can you remember that far back, being a youngin', or understanding what was happening in San Diego with the war?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
The earliest I remember is starting school.
Starting school.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What did your parents do?
My father was a farmer.
What kind of farm?
With his brother.
Okay.
And their farm was just south of Nestor. And they were what they called truck farmer. They grew tomatoes and lettuce and romaine, depending on the season.
Did he work for Mr. Venner by chance?
No.
No. Okay.
It was him and his brother.
Okay.
That did the farming, and basically my father was the foreman. And so in the summers when I got into the junior high and high school, I would work on the farm.
Really?
Yeah, but I got the easy jobs. I got to drive the trucks. The tractors.
You were driving a tractor?
Oh, that's where I learned to drive.
So, did you get your driver's license on the first try?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and my mother, she was a housemaker, but she also worked as a grocery clerk at the OTAY General Store.
Really?
Yes, and I also ended up working there too, as a box boy and a stocker and stuff. Wow. So I remember the OTAY General Store, which is long gone now.
Yeah. I love taking the Heritage Road, which is an OTAY ranch. and then just dropping down into Main Street.
Main Street.
And then going up the hill, because so far nobody's touched it, and it is what it was, and I love that about
Yes.
our city.
Yes.
How has Chula Vista, Southbay changed?
Quite a bit, immensely. I mentioned OTAY General Store, it's gone. There's some restaurants there. I grew up in OTAY, and that area has changed. We lived on Zenith Street, right across from, used to be a Braceto camp. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bracetos.
I've heard of it.
They came from Mexico to work the farms.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they had all these barracks. Well, they're gone. They tore them all down. And on 3rd and Main, there used to be a junk
I remember.
place.
I certainly remember.
And of course, the Chula Vista has changed the downtown. Well, then they're still changing it. There's been some renovations here lately.
I think one of the greatest changes was when the 805 came in.
Yes, that had a big change.
It connected.
Well, and when the 5 came in, I remember the 5.
You remember the 5 coming in?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the 805.
It took hours to get to Disneyland when it opened up.
Oh, yeah.
Hours. And just to see what it takes. But I do remember all of the farms who we feature in the exhibit. They had their egg farm at Sweetwater Road and the 805, and because of eminent domain, it was taken away.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Any other changes you've seen?
Let's see. Well, of course, the roar's gone. That's a big change. And of course, the city has expanded. When first of all, I went to OTAY Elementary.
Okay.
Then I went to Castle Park Junior High.
Okay.
And then I went to Chula Vista for a year and a half, and then we moved from OTAY on Zenith to Chula Vista on H Street, close to the corner on 2nd.
Yeah.
And then I transferred to Hilltop and graduated from Hilltop High School. And then I went to the first year that Southwestern existed.
I remember that. That was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Southwestern. Chula Vista is going to have an education,
communication.
of being of a college. And again, not to interrupt, but Ruthie got her honorary degree at Southwestern College. So that was a really cool thing.
Yeah, the first classes were held at the Chula Vista High School.
Yes.
Because the buildings hadn't been
I do
built.
remember that.
Yes.
And Mayan Theater, which was the new theater that they had.
Yes.
And
they still have it.
they still have it. Did you know they're building a brand new performing arts center?
That I didn't know.
So now they have a brand new performing arts center that is coming up. It'll be really interesting to see what they do with Mayan Theater, Mayan Hall.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I've been to concerts there.
Yeah.
They've had jazz groups, and
We have culture in Chula Vista. You know that. Actually, culture in South Bay.
Yeah. And then after Southwestern, I went to San Diego State.
Nice.
Graduated with a degree in electrical engineering.
Wow.
And then went to work for the Navy lab out in Point Loma.
Oh my gosh.
And then about, I guess it was 4 or 5 years ago, I got a scholarship to go to Purdue, and I got my master's at Purdue University.
Oh.
And then I came back to the lab, and I retired from there.
Very, very
And
awesome.
I loved that job. That was all research and
Well, I got to tell you,
fun.
did some research on you. I know that you're an incredible historian when it comes to the South Bay area, even in San Diego, but I also know that you're a historian with Baja California. And I would love to know your history, things that you love when you do your research on Baja and also in the South Bay.
Right. Well, the reason that I got interested in Baja is both my parents are from Baja, were born in Baja. My dad was born in a small town that's just south of La Paz. And I was able in the genealogy side, when I was doing all the genealogy stuff, I was able to trace my dad back 7 generations to the very first Castros that came to Baja. And they were soldiers that came with the Jesuits at the very beginning.
Oh, Caesar.
Yeah. And so I've traced it to who I'm related to.
Wow.
And those Castros. Start interviewing your parents, and if you have grandparents, they're good to interview, to talk to them about stuff, to ask if they have old photos of people, and if there's any family secrets. They're asked. We
or
did
you
that.
end up doing
we
something
did.
and you find a family secret. Yeah.
We did that. We interviewed the last aunt, my dad's sister, one of her sisters. She was the last surviving one.
Wow.
And so she told us a big secret that they weren't supposed to talk about. Family secret.
Can you talk about it or no?
No,
Okay.
because it's
in your family, and it's a gift that maybe you'll give to other family members.
yeah. I'll
or
let people
it's
know.
something that you can put to rest
Yeah,
and let it be.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she gave us some great old photos. So that's one way. The next way is to start looking at records. And it turns out that the Mormon Church is big into records, old church records and government records. And you can go online and you can search through their records
Wow.
to their main library
Right.
to look at records. And then they have at some of their churches, mainly the one in Mission Valley, they have an area that's for doing genealogy.
Right.
And there you can look up records also.
Wow, that's really fantastic.
But now they put more and more online. And so if you go to their website, you can do a lot of research,
oh, that's
family research.
nice. Absolutely.
Because I was interested, or I was surprised when I became president and started looking at the organization. I thought that, the current Southbay started in 2013.
2013.
And it was started by Susan Walters, Stephen Van Vormer, and Steve Hersham. Okay, so I thought that was the first existence of Southbay Historical Society, but it turns out it isn't. There was one created in 1958 by Irene Phillips, and it lasted till 72 when she passed away. It disbanded, and so existed for 14 years. And then in 1981, John Rojas and Peter Machado founded the Chula Vista Historical Society. And it was created in 81, and it disbanded in 2000 when Rojas died in a car accident. And then this current one was the current Southbay Historical Society was established by Susan Walters, and I mentioned,
Right.
yeah, in 2013. So we're going on 7 years.
I found some incredible cookbooks, as you know, the Lemon Book, my
Yes,
favorite book.
yes.
A very rare book, and I'm so glad that I was able to get it and copy it. Yeah, I was just finding it when I went downstairs to our office and archives, which was pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where
oh,
I
well,
found
it
it.
should. Oh, okay.
So I was just
Okay.
wondering what it was.
We've been operating this museum since 2015. Okay, but the museum was created in 1993, and it was in. There was a Chamber of Commerce building on 360 3rd Avenue, and the Chamber of Commerce moved to a bigger building, and when that happened, the city and the library wanted to create the museum, and they contacted a Frank Roseman, who then organized it, and he had some help from John Rojas. And then in 2015, and I haven't found the reason, they decided to demolish that building. And that's when the museum moved from 3rd Avenue to the Chula Vista
To where
Library.
we are right now.
To where we are right now. And then in 2015, that's when they moved, and at that time, the Southbay Historical Society agreed to help manage
Right.
the museum. And so we've in the past years have found subjects for the library.
Right.
And
I loved the subjects that we had. So far from what I remember was the flood.
the flood.
Fronterizo.
Uh-huh.
Did I say correctly, Fronterizo?
Fronterizos.
The indigenous people and what's happening in the waterfront.
Yeah, that was good.
That
I
was a
enjoyed
good one. It
yeah.
was colorful. It was really
Yes,
colorful.
yeah.
Being able to do the Ruth Remember Us the Holocaust has been a blessing, Caesar. I want you
Yeah.
to know that. Tell me what's in the future.
Well, the next exhibit
Mm-hmm.
is going to be by the Chula Vista Fire Department. It turns out 2021 is their centennial. So they're organizing, and they've had committee meetings. I've attended a few of them.
They're fun.
Yeah, and what they're going to do and stuff. I know they want to do something downtown,
Right.
and then they're going to organize a display here. And then after that, the Filipino community, and I've met with them already, are going to have a display of basically the Filipinos in the Southbay.
Which is
there's-
tremendous.
Yeah, and when this COVID is over, and we start having meetings
I'm so glad
again,
you said when it's over instead of if it's over, but when it's over.
well, it'll be over once they get a vaccine. But anyway, maybe you can come with me to some of the meetings.
I
with
would
them.
love it.
Yeah.
I would love it. I have been to the fire meetings, and I'm also very close with that. And that's a whole different thing on my end, because I look for the historical parts of a fire
Right.
engine of all things, and I let the business be the business.
Yeah.
Caesar,
Okay.
did you ever think in your tender years that we would be doing virtual tours?
No, not really. I mean, I was aware of Zoom actually before the pandemic, and I used it both for family meetings, and then we had our first board meeting, and then we have another one coming up on the 30th.
Right.
But no, I didn't envision the explosion of the Zoom and the people being at home and.
Well, I got to tell you, it's so good to see you in person. It really is. Yeah. Well, I have to tell you that one of the things that I've enjoyed doing, and being that we're in the library and we can promote library awareness of what to do, I have found that some of the homes in Chula Vista are really, truly beautiful.
Yes.
So driving on 2nd Avenue, if you're new to the area and you've never driven on 2nd Avenue from north of C Street and then heading south to where L Street is, you'll find some absolutely amazing, beautiful homes. Are there things that you brought, or you have documents, or things that you want to bring to our attention, Caesar?
I could have brought. It turns out there's 3 books on the subject that's been published over time. The first one was published in 1976. It's titled Historic Chula Vista, Historic Homes and Other Historic Sites, and it was published by the Chula Vista Historical Society.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then in '86, the city of Chula Vista funded a book called Chula Vista Heritage, and part of that has the homes.
Nice.
And then the Chula Vista Historic Homeowners Group, which there's only a few members left from that group, did a tour, and they published a little book. And that was in 2011. And all of those are in the library. You
Right.
can find them in the library.
I also believe that Steve Schoenherr's book is also published, if I'm not mistaken, and it's the 100 Years of Chula Vista.
Yes,
Do you know what I'm talking
I was
about?
going to mention that. It's
Okay,
called, but now we're getting more into the Chula Vista history rather than the homes.
Okay.
The first 3 are more
Of the
focused
homes.
on the homes.
Okay.
And so actually there's a Chula Vista story, 1868 to 1968, that was published in 68 by Irene Phillips. And then there's the Chula Vista Heritage, published by the city of Chula Vista in 1986. And then there's the Family Friends and Homes, Chula Vista Historical Society in '61. And then there's the Steve Hersheim book that was commissioned by the city called Chula Vista Centennial 1911 to 2011.
Okay, so I got to tell you a story about that. Yesterday I met somebody at the San Diego Country Club that was built in 1925, and nothing is more enjoyable than to go to the San Diego Country Club, which you can eat on the outdoors if you're a member. So
if you remember,
if
yeah.
you remember there, yep. He is my guest. And nothing is more pleasant than to sit on those overgrown, overstuffed couches and grab Steve's book and read it. It is wonderful. Also in the mayor's office, when we open up again, when you're waiting in the waiting room, the book is there. And of course, here in the library, it might be a book that somebody might want to check out.
I think you can buy it at the bookstore.
Ah, okay.
They have copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite street to drive on when you're looking at homes?
Well, there's two of them, of
Okay.
course. Okay, there's Hilltop Drive,
Yeah.
which I used to live really close to.
Right.
I used
right
to.
there in the.
Yeah, I
the
used to
heart of it.
walk to school,
Yeah.
and then a Second.
And Second Avenue.
Yeah, it has quite a few. There's one on First that's sitting behind all the other houses
Yes.
up on a little hill.
Yes.
And that looks neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story has it that one of the houses that I believe is on First or Second Avenue has another Victorian home, and it's between J and K. I think it's Second Avenue.
Okay.
And the one home is behind the other home. And I thought, why would there be two Victorian homes? The rumor that I heard, could be wrong, was that house was in an auction and somebody bought it for $1.
And moved
All
it?
they had to do is pick it up and move it. So would I want a house like that in my backyard? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
What was one of the reasons that you got into history?
One of them was I grew up in OTAY, and nobody knew what that word meant.
OTAY. Wow.
Do you?
OTAY. I got to tell you, now I'm bad. OTAY. Go for it.
Well, it turns out it's a kumbiyai. It's
Yes.
an Indian word.
Yes.
It's a
Okay. I
kumbiyai
failed my
word.
test because the Southbay Historical Society and the Chula Vista Heritage Museum had a specialist giving a lecture on the kumbiyai, and I got to tell you, I failed my test with you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And so I found that out, but I didn't find out the meaning of the word. And the kumbiyai don't pronounce it OTAY, they pronounce it UTAY.
OTAY.
Yeah. I think it's Verona. I'd have to go back and
Toward
look.
that area.
Yeah, way back there. And separate from the casino, it's like a few miles away, is sort of the tribal headquarters. And there they have a bookstore.
And that can be found online
Yeah.
very easily.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right off the main road.
So, for
Okay.
those of you who are teaching a history portion in your online classes, one of the things you might want to have your students do would be to do a project of the headquarters for the Kumbiyai.
Yeah, for the
Right.
different tribes. Yeah. In going there, I found this book on the autobiography of a Kumbiyai woman named Delfina Curo. And in that book, I actually have it on page 24, she says the word utai is a weed.
Utai is a weed.
Is a weed that grew, she said, abundantly in that area. And I've also heard a professor out at State, he said it was a bush. So it's a plant of some
It's a
kind.
plant.
And so I found out
Wow.
what
Utai
utai means.
means.
And of course the Kumbiyai. Of course, you know, the Kumbiyai lived in that OTAY Valley.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all along it. And I want to mention one other thing.
Sure.
There was a teacher out at Southwestern that actually did digs, archaeological digs out there. The teacher is Charlotte McGowan.
She was my teacher.
Was she? You know
She
her?
was, yes.
Yeah.
An older woman back then in the 70s when I
Yeah.
went to school, and I had to take an archaeology class. And,
Oh.
oh my God, she was absolutely incredible.
Oh, I bet. So, and she published a book in 1997. And the Southwestern Library has a copy, and also San Diego State has a
I
copy of
wonder
it.
if we have a copy here.
I don't think so. I think maybe
Maybe.
it's possible.
We'll talk to Joy. We'll talk to our head librarian and see.
Yeah.
As we're talking about things, it's always good to have them because people see our shows and they
Yeah.
want to check out a book. Yes, the library is open by going ahead of time, ordering your book, drive by pickup, and just make sure you get it back on time.
Yeah, but that report is really interesting because she lays out the valley and she shows where the Kumeyays, well, evidently there was tribes where they lived.
When we do open up again
Back.
to figure out how we can videotape it so that even though they can't come to the lecture at the time, it can be used as research, which I'm looking forward to doing with our organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
2, 1. Caesar, I am so amazed at the direction of the Chula Vista Heritage and the Southbay Historical and new things that we have. And of course, with COVID hitting, one of the things I learned from Einstein was in difficult times you can have opportunity. And even though it's an opportunity, I will tell you that I do miss Ruth. We worked so hard on this. But what you've been able to prove today is that all we have to do is create our own little museums, our own little world of research, and these gifts are things that we can give our families in the future. I
Right.
think the most important thing are for people that have documents and stuff in your
Yes.
garage and they've been locked up for years, make it easy for your family so that when they want to
Right.
go into research, and if there is a family secret, don't worry about it. It becomes history.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Caesar?
Thank
Da,
you.
da, da.